So 2025 went by very quickly.
Yes, it did.
It seemed to go by very quickly. And we are now going to be talking about 2026, the growth blueprint. Rado, nice you could make it. I said I was running from one meeting to
Yeah.
another, and he was in the previous meeting I was in. So
Glad to be here.
So this is aligning AI, tech marketing, and sales for success in 2026. I am Jackie Grenay. I'm CEO of 7-Star HR, full service HR and hiring company. And I'm going to be moderating today. And so I'm going to start by introducing our speakers. Jason Abrams is founder and fractional CMO and growth strategist of a company called Next Play Marketing. He's a seasoned fractional CMO, growth marketing and business development consultant, and the founder of Next Play Marketing, with 20 plus years experience of internal client/brand and agency leadership experience. Jason specializes in crafting innovative marketing programs that drive sales and business development efficiency. Jason's diverse industry experience includes manufacturing, technology, healthcare, professional services, and associations and nonprofits. He shares insights on emerging growth trends and marketing technologies as an educator, speaker, and coach. With a focus on adaptability and resilience, Jason embodies the Next Play philosophy in every aspect of his work, propelling businesses forward with sustainable, profitable growth strategies. So thank you and welcome, Jason. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Jackie. Happy to be here.
John Noonan is president, fractional CRO/VP of sales of Growth Plan Partners, powered by Sales Acceleration. John is the president of Growth Plan Partners and a seasoned sales acceleration advisor with extensive experience in helping business owners establish a clear path to predictable revenue and growth. We can all only get predictable revenue and growth, right?
Amen.
Drawing on his 35 plus years as an executive VP, sales and marketing in his corporate career, and his deep knowledge of sales processes, strategies, and team motivation, John now partners to help business owners of companies ranging from 5 to 75 million in annual revenue. He's dedicated to uncovering sales inefficiencies and implementing scalable solutions that yield consistent long-term results. Many of his clients have achieved sales growth of 20 to 35% within a year. So welcome, John. You're a good person to have to be talking about where we're going for next year. We need sales always, right?
Everybody needs sales. It's where
everybody
it all
needs sales. You're right. And last but certainly not least, Yusuf Tawfiq is the founder and CEO of Revy Agency, a technology company that helps businesses automate inefficient processes through custom software solutions and AI-driven automations. When off-the-shelf tools fall short, Revy steps in to design and implement tailored systems that improve efficiency, reduce costs, and unlock new levels of productivity. With a strong background in technology and business process optimization, Yusuf has led companies to save hundreds of thousands of dollars through automation and improved workflows, while helping them unlock new revenue opportunities through smarter tech-driven operations. So there you go. This is our panel for today. And what we're going to do, we're going to get started. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. But I'm going to start with some questions and ask our experts what they think. So let's start with the first. As we look ahead to 2026, what's the single biggest readiness gap you see holding companies back from scalable growth? Marketing, sales, or tech-wise? So, Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. For me, I think the readiness gap overlaps all these areas, and it's really a lack of clarity in prioritization in strategy. When we're speaking about marketing specifically, I think that oftentimes for emerging lower middle market businesses, there's no real marketing muscle at the table. And when it comes to strategy, or oftentimes lack thereof, I put companies a lot of times in the category of, I'll use air quotes, doing marketing. Marketing is sporadic or ad hoc. The sales team ends up generating all the demand, and overloading a small team, which over time is going to actually slow growth as opposed to improve growth. And so I think we'll get into, I think, conversations today about simple focused marketing plans, ones that can help clarify and bring clarity to ideal customer messaging platform, and consistently feeding the sales funnel, which makes a measurable difference.
Great, John.
Agreed, and I'm just going to tag right on it. It's all about, in my opinion, the gap is identifying, who is your ideal client profile, especially when they don't have any marketing help. A lot of salespeople are out there just, I kiddingly say, as I work with a lot of clients, one of the first things I do is have them put the shotguns in the rack. And what I mean by that is there's too many salespeople out there just firing at anything that moves in the grass.
Ready, fire, aim.
You got it. We don't know if it's good for us. We don't know if it's tasty to eat. We're just bringing it home. And so they're obviously wasting a lot of time on potential clients that may bring us little or no value, little or no profit. And we might not be able to serve them well. So I think that's the biggest gap I have with my clients is it's really Jason's job in the long run. But when I get in there and there's been no marketing, let's identify a few markets that we know we serve well, we know we have value, we know we can make money on. If we do that at the beginning, then we can generate cash, and then hopefully bring somebody like Jason on to show us the direction for those other, how to improve the existing markets as well. But then looking at other markets, doing some research, and really showing us where future profits can come from.
And of course, Yusuf kind of cements everything together, right? Because you need the technology. So to record what you're doing, to track, to whatever ROI. So what do you think, Yusuf?
And I think, and I think that a big part of the gap that people would look for in 2026 is just the overall mentality of, okay, what technologies that we're willing to implement. Everyone is doing AI this, AI that, but I always say to everyone, like, you're trying to be in 2026, but you're still in '06. You're still very far behind on the technologies that you're using and how you're using it. We're still printing everything. So as John and Jason are working, bringing on people home, even the way they're bringing them home, and we've worked with John before on some clients that needs some optimization. We need to get them at their working at their 100%. So the change of mentality of let's be realistic, let's ground ourselves, and let's look at the bigger picture and look at what is the uh, scope or roadmap into reaching the use of AI. That's the biggest thing that could really help you jet off in 2026 with technology.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was at a peer board meeting this morning, and much of the conversation was about AI and the need for it to really now pull everything together. So many growing companies talk about strategy, and strategy is always great, but execution with strategy without execution, right, means nothing. And execution often falls short. So how do you suggest that business owners translate strategy into measurable outcomes? I'm going to start with you, Yusuf.
Yeah, because it's very relevant. As I said right now, okay, let's start by grounding ourselves and thinking ahead into the future. Like, where we are right now and where do we want to reach? And the use of technology is not just AI. It's about what are the business goals that we're trying to achieve, right? What are the goals? And based on those goals, let's try to make those decisions and let's try to start with the right thing. If we're using an Excel sheet, for example, with John, if we're optimizing a sales process, if you're using Excel sheets to generate quotes, let's automate that. Let's connect that to a CRM. Let's make sure that that CRM talks to the fulfillment team to actually make it happen. So really making sure that the connection between everything is really happening, and we're going in. We're not chewing more than we can eat. We can actually modularize and have that plan to start executing. We know that we need this now. Let's look at the business goals and go for it. Is it AI? Maybe. Is it not AI and it's an automated smart system with a smarter algorithm? Yes, maybe. Making sure that all the systems are talking to each other and everything is consolidated. Absolutely. So from there, execution might be a very big word, and sometimes businesses are afraid from execution because technology is a very unknown, big thing that you hear, oh, we've spent millions of dollars on technologies, but right now in 2025, modularization is a big thing, and allowing the company to check off those business goals as we go with the right plan is something that is absolutely feasible at these days. So yeah.
So Jason puts this great marketing strategy in place, and then John helps implement it. But what happens is sometimes with salespeople, especially, they're not very big in documenting. So, John, you want to talk about how that we can get that implementation increased?
Yep, absolutely. Well, for me, I think, one of the critical tools, and it's bringing on AI tools within it, is a CRM system, right? It still blows my mind today that 50% of companies between $0 and $50 million do not have one or don't use one. And in today's marketplace, I don't know how you can be effective. But going back to strategy, first you have to put the Vulcan mind hold on the owner and really figure out what the strategy is. Okay, once you have that, then the documentation becomes the sales process, right? Being able to state in words and in action items what the sales team needs to do, from engaging a client at the beginning, maybe that's from marketing, but taking a lead and turning it into cash. Okay, so we document all of those stages. We teach the sales team how to implement that strategy through every step of the way, and then that becomes the measurable outcomes then are success against those KPIs that you've put together. So we know that sales in essence is a math formula. at its base level. And what I mean by that is, if you need to generate $1 million in sales, you will need to generate so many millions of dollars additional in proposals, and then you will need to have so many more meetings than those that were created, and then you will have to make so many touch points to engage those clients. So that all kind of works backwards, but again, more KPIs that can be tracked. So even though you may have a long sales cycle, you still understand what the base activities are, what's the blocking and tackling that needs to take place every day to get you to your end goal. So for me, the measurables are the KPIs, the dashboard of the to-dos that need to happen every day to generate the sales number that we've agreed to accomplish.
So, Jason, I did this backwards since because usually strategy always comes first, which is where you excel in this. But how do we get businesses to create marketing strategies that allow for automation or implementation in the best way possible by sales reps?
Yeah, I think that your strategy only matters if it's visible in the sales team's day to day. So this also goes hand in hand with alignment of sales, marketing, technology. It's not myself, John, Yusuf can't all live in silos. The teams within businesses can't live in silos, and there has to be this kind of constant feedback loop to understand what's working and what's not. From a marketing strategy perspective and thinking about measurable outcomes, is the sales team seeing more qualified leads? Are deals moving faster and more efficiently through the pipeline? We can get caught up with a lot of vanity metrics, and in a lot of cases, there's really only certain metrics that matter. The sales team values qualified leads, sales conversions, proposals sent. They can care less how many people visit the website, or how many impressions an ad or an email got, right? And so we need to really make sure that executionally we're aligning around the right metrics, and using technology dashboards to monitor those things on both the front end and the back end. And then to me it's about even with limited marketing resources, there are opportunities to run small experiments. We can send targeted email campaigns or do very targeted LinkedIn outreach to a specific audience, and then track the direct sales impact. When I say direct sales impact, it's not necessarily people clicking a buy now button, because that doesn't exist in most B2B businesses, but the direct sales impact in relation to, again, the pipeline and the things that the sales team value.
So, what are the telltale signs that a company's current systems, whether it's a tech stack or brand messaging or a sales process, are actually slowing growth? What do each of you do to take a look at this? Because slowed growth is obviously a symptom of something else going on. So, John?
Sure. On the sales side, it's, again, hopefully, those metrics have been established that we talked about, and monitoring those for any kind of stall or backward trend. I mean, that's the telltale sign to me. We used to win 50% of all of our proposals. We're now winning 32%. Why? What the heck is happening there? Where is the issue there? Is it the quality of the lead? Are we just trying to quote too many people now? There's many, many things that you can take a look at there. But in the end, I think you always have to go back to the numbers. Well, Jason will speak to marketing, but his messaging plus the sales messaging, is it resonating? Okay. Does it have value? And what may have changed? Okay. The world may have changed on us. We can't sit there, right? The only constant is change. So we have to constantly be revising our value proposition to our client base, which again, their requirements may have been stepped up. I get a kick out of some companies that, have websites and talk about we're the best at this and the best at that. And then when you get in to talk to actual clients, they're like, that's table stakes. That's just ante to say hello. You got to give me something more than that. Okay. You got to provide this extra value that I'm looking for. And I think that's the trick is, well, those are the signs. Let me just leave it there. We'll have other questions around where we go from here, but watching those metrics, keeping an eye on those, and making sure that, things are always in the positive and forward direction. If they're not, you have to analyze, redevelop, and redeploy.
Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'll piggyback off of that. But when I think about systems, I'm often talking to business owners, executives about the people, process, and technologies of a growth program, and so you can find those telltale signs in any one of those things. So, John talked about the sales team and efficiencies within the sales team goes to CRM. If you're still using Excel spreadsheets, and manual entry of information and things like that, those are classic signals that your growth tech isn't fit for scale. If the sales team is chasing cold leads, or updating spreadsheets more than they're actually selling, then the current systems likely aren't serving the business the best. If we look at process, which I include messaging in a lot of cases as part of process, if there's inconsistent messaging across channels, if there's generic or outdated messaging, you can very well lose credibility and momentum out of the gate. And the world is evolving so quickly, that what resonated even now, maybe a year ago, doesn't necessarily resonate with customers today. We've seen that time and time again in terms of challenges. We saw this during COVID. Companies that didn't pivot, didn't evolve during COVID, didn't change or update their messaging. That messaging before COVID didn't necessarily resonate. Now we're dealing with economic uncertainty and the political issues and tariffs and all of these things that have changed the landscape of business. And again, what a year ago isn't the same as today, and so we need to continue to evolve and pivot. And I think that's part of the system. And then from a technology perspective, and Yusuf will jump in here as well, right? But I think fragmented data, inability to launch campaigns quickly with automation that matches the right message to the right audience at the right time. All of those things are exactly what you should be looking at in terms of, is our systems helping us or is it slowing us?
And comments, Yusuf?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Slow. I would say even a quick survey through the room. How many times you've been using a software and it was just too clunky that you just went ahead and done it manual? Numerous times, numerous times. That's the biggest telltale sign of our technology is slowing us. it is not fit for us. That's not what we want to do for. Even with salespeople doing things that they should not be doing, there's that CRM that they just hate and they need to do to get off and use another system. Marketing campaigns, or this software that we're using for project management with our marketing tasks is just not for us. The team hate. So even alignment on the usage of the team and how the business, and I usually describe it that way. The software has to be built for the business, not the business trying to adapt for the software. It's the opposite way. The software needs to be very, very, because every business is very different. Even within the same industries, every business do business differently. Their operations are different. Salespeople are different. Owners are different. The way they deliver their products are very different. So with that differences, there's no one size fits all with that. So once we try to put everyone within that specific box, growth just hinders. We start to go back to printing papers and manually writing on them, starting to go back to tracking on an Excel sheet, so starting to go back to all of those things. And we feel on a short-term level that, oh, that's just faster, but you can never scale with that. Absolutely impossible. So actually understanding how your business is working through technology is crucial to what technologies that you're using and you should be using. Is it custom, off the shelf, sales related, marketing related, operation related, project management related, just fully, let's build our own? You have to sit down and think about that. So yeah.
I think just jumping in.
Yeah,
just,
go ahead, Jason.
One of the questions that I'll ask business owners, and I'm sure we all ask these questions, as consultants, is, okay, if you brought on 1, 5, 10 new clients today, tomorrow, the next day, are you jumping up and down for joy, or are you, scared, right? Hiding, yeah. Sometimes I use different words, but I'll save the profanity. The reality is that growth can be a great thing, and growth can be a scary thing. And is your company built to scale, built for growth, and can you handle the growth that you in your mind you want? I've seen far too many companies, who can't handle the growth, and because they don't have the technology, the systems, the processes, not only on the sales and marketing side, but on the operations side, on the cash flow side, all of the different areas that they need to continue to invest for that growth. So I think that there's a significance here of, again, are your systems, are your technologies, are your people, built and ready to grow? And we talk about sustainable growth, or is it holding you back? And so when we look at 2026, which is what this conversation is all about, I think those are some of the first questions that you kind of have to ask yourself is, okay, are we in a position to grow? And then, I think where we're going to go with the rest of this conversation is, how do we actually go after this growth, right? And that's a big piece of it too.
I think before we talk about how, I want to ask each of you what you see a healthy growth ecosystem. What does it look like when sales and marketing and technology all really interact with each other and fire in sync? So why don't you start?
I can jump in. I mentioned earlier about this, closed feedback loop. And I think that alignment isn't just a meeting. Getting together in a room doesn't prove that you're aligned. Everyone, marketing, sales, technology, operations, finance, all of us in this room today, plus everyone who's not in this room, have to be working off of the same playbook. When it comes to sales and marketing, we have to be targeting the same prospect. I don't look at it necessarily as sales and marketing it's a growth strategy, it's a growth program. John and I have, or people in our seats have to be collaborating, together, and defining success in the same way. So there's a shared goal, there's shared governance, there's a shared playbook, and then we're, again, that feedback loop is about, whether it's weekly syncs between whoever's touching the customer, or prospects, understanding what's working, what's not. I want to know from John and his team, what's resonated, what's the feedback that we're getting from leads and prospects, what today as opposed to yesterday is making a good lead versus not a good lead, so we can then go after more of those good leads, right? So I think that's where that to me is what it looks like, and trying to just break down as many barriers between, between these different column departments. But again, it's all the same team, and especially with small teams, we can't look fragmented.
Thoughts,
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, if I can jump in on that. So, again, what's a healthy growth ecosystem look like? It's alignment by all the departments, as Jason is saying. I think it starts at the top, and I enjoy working with my clients because I'm generally brought in as a fractional sales leader. I become part of the executive team because I can't really help my client unless I understand, number one, what are their goals and what are their capabilities, and that starts in that senior executive room, right? What is healthy growth for us? What do we want to target? I think any good company should start looking at, what do we want to be in 5 years? To get there, what do we have to do in 3 years? And to get there, what do we have to do this year? Okay. Get a realistic goal, make sure everybody understands it, and that everyone has ponied up to, being able to achieve it. There's no good in putting a 30% growth goal in if manufacturing only has 10% capacity left. It's just the numbers don't work. It doesn't jive. Okay. So there are things that have to be understood. But once everybody's in the room, everybody agrees to those goals, okay, then it can become a healthy ecosystem if everybody continues to communicate together, as Jason said. We have these, even if they're just monthly, more than a meeting, commitments and review of dashboards and goals and objectives being met, or what's stalling us and where do we have to help somebody. And then one last piece, I work with a lot of different types of clients, and I've got three basic types of clients. I have a lifestyle client who's very happy with moderate growth, 5%. Hey, all the family's making a good income. Let's not rock the boat. We don't want to invest $1 billion to grow this thing. You keep me growing at 5 to 7% and everybody's keeping up against the economy. We're all good. Well, that's very different from the one that's like, no, I want to drive growth. I need 20, 25% growth, and very different from a few that I've had that's like, I want to double every year. Well, it may or may not be possible depending on the market that you're in, what you're selling, what you're doing, and what's there. But that's going to require investment, skill, and talent, and the ability to deal with change much faster. So, net, it's agreement at the executive level, what we're going to do this year, what the goals and objectives are, and then keeping everybody on track against those.
Yusuf.
I love that. Yeah, and honestly, with Jason and John, it's still, let's see how the management and the sales, or the management or the marketing. From my perspective, I would even go deeper into, let's see fulfillment. Let's see what fulfillment wants. Let's see what sales wants. Let's see what marketing wants. Let's see everyone and how they want the business to flow. Because for me, technology is interconnected through every single piece of the business. So that ecosystem of everyone being, first of all, on board with automating, because obviously you might see a lot of pushback with old timers, or people that are just not open to technology, or people that are just not, either just don't want to, we've been doing it for 50 years that way. Why would I change it today? Right? Having that pushback and really educating the team on what are the possibilities, how are we going to make their life easier, how we can make them more efficient and just actually grow. That's the ecosystem that technology would thrive in. And at the same time, making sure that the clear requirements of every every specific vertical in that team. So I would go to a sales team, like, what do you guys expect? What do you guys need? We need this from the marketing team. We need this from the fulfillment team. We need to have a tool that does this so we can communicate directly with that team. Well, we go to the marketing, we do the same thing. We go to fulfillment, we do the same thing. So we're able to map out a roadmap for everyone, determine the right technology, either off shelf, custom, whatever it needs to be. But from there, the healthy ecosystem comes into buying in technology, not being afraid of technology, and being aware and educated that it's not here to replace you, but actually it's here to make your life easier, to make us actually go forward. So the buying in from all the team members, choosing the right technology, not having pushback is definitely the right ecosystem for that growth and making sure everyone is moving in the right direction.
So running your company via Excel spreadsheets is not where you
Doesn't work.
doesn't work
No.
if you want to build an ecosystem. It's great to look at one thing or another, but yeah, that isn't going to do it. So, hey, everybody's talking about AI now. So, how is AI transforming your area, Jason, of expertise, and what's the biggest misconception you think companies have about it?
Yeah, I mean, AI is obviously everywhere, and it has been. Yusuf will probably say, I mean, AI has been around for 20 years. ChatGPT, OpenAI has brought it to the masses at a very cost-effective, level, and so we've seen a huge exponential growth in usage. But these AI-driven tools are, they're even for lean teams, they're making it easier to do things like identify prospects, personalize outreach, automate routine tasks, like generating content ideas, things like that. And I think the biggest misconception from a marketing perspective is that you need a dedicated team or a massive budget. I think that there are right-sized, affordable options even for small teams. And AI, to me, should help people do more of what works faster. But as Yusuf said, not replace them. Success of using AI, especially from a marketing perspective, and really any perspective, it's garbage in, garbage out. So success depends on data quality. Success depends on human creativity. Think about AI as the accelerator, not the engine. And I think that's where maybe some people, some companies are going wrong in thinking that, oh, this is going to replace or whatever. No, it's the accelerator. You still need the people, need the data, need the insights to drive the vehicle.
John, do you see AI impacting?
Yes. Oh, definitively. And again, a lot of it just within the CRM systems that are out there today. The ability to help a salesperson become more efficient. Jason mentioned, targeting the right clients, right? Using AI to utilize your value proposition as it's going out there to do lead generation and things like that. But internally, they should be able to handle a lot more customers, because a lot of the routine follow-up tasks and activity reminders can all be set within a system now. You can literally speak to these CRM systems now. You don't have to even type anymore. Salespeople on the road can, make their notes and talk to the system from their phone, asking it maybe, I'm on my way to a client. Please search the internet. Tell me if there's any new news about this client, anything that's happening that I should be aware of to talk to this client. Look at my last 5 emails and tell me, have I responded to everything the client's been asking for? Are there certain things that I have to address? So, what would be time consuming and going back and rereading emails and searching through the internet for information can now, at a voice command, be brought to their fingertips and make them, more capable of answering a client's questions and make them appear more researched and ready to serve the client's needs.
And Yusuf, our expert here, what's the biggest misconception companies have about AI?
I would surprise you with my answer right now. I would say Jason and John, they're coming in from a perspective of like, yes, we're all for AI because that's the off-shelf solutions. And those people, those companies invested a lot of time, effort, and money to making this AI, small AI tool actually work. But then if we're looking at the more granular level at a business's operations, you don't, most probably 99% of the time, you don't need it. It would be like, even John, if you think about a CRM, what is the percentage of AI usage within the whole system of the CRM? It's below 1%. If we're looking at the overall functionality of AI in a CRM, it's very, very low. So from that philosophy, actually looking into a business, you should not focus on where can I use AI, but rather than focus on where can we use technology as an overall. How can we use all the available resources and use AI where it matters? Because most probably you don't need that all-engulfing AI model that can just help you do everything via chat or via voice. And most probably you don't need it. You're not ready for it. Your data is not consolidated. You have triggered softwares all over the place, scattered softwares all over the place. Your data is not in the same place. It's not ready to be trained to train an AI model on it. It's your team is not trained on it good. So all of these factors actually hinder you from start implementing AI in your own business right now in a custom way, obviously. When you go start using any other off-shelf softwares, they've developed the time and effort to use it. Go use ChatGPT, go use the AI feature in HubSpot, go use all of this. But if we're talking about how can we actually elevate the business's operation using our own AI models and our own custom technologies and get off the Excel sheet from an Excel sheet to an AI, it's just impossible. So from there, it allows you to take a step back and think, what do we actually need to automate? What are the business operations that we need to involve technology in? Where are we losing money? Where are we losing time? Where is redundant human resources? What is just so simple we don't need a human to sit down and do it and can be automated? That's the mentality that you should approach that from. Not just let's just stick AI in there. Oh, we need AI to be able to catch up to everyone. No. So the mentality, it's a mentality shift, and let's explore how can we elevate the business with technology as an overall.
I think just piggyback. I mean, I think that and Yusuf, in your background graphic and your tagline, right? You boosting business with AI, automation, and custom software. And I think that the significance there, right, is that there's a difference. When people talk about automation, they think it's AI, but automation is not necessarily AI. There are sequences, and other, other automation things that can be done that doesn't use AI, right? And so it comes down to, from a growth perspective, what are the challenges, or from even a business perspective, what are the challenges?
Yep.
And Yusuf, exactly what you said. Okay, where can we apply potentially technology to improve or fix those challenges? But simply there is no magic bullet, and again, it comes down to a tool that amplifies great strategy, great people, as opposed to something that is just going to be plug and play and solve everything.
So 2026 is looming. Where should companies be investing now to set themselves up? Should it be in new technology, in sharper messaging, in stronger sales enablement? What are your thoughts? We'll see if
for
people
me,
deviate from their
yeah.
area.
I
Go
mean,
ahead,
so
James.
for me, it's about starting with the basics. So like I mentioned earlier, in terms of messaging, what resonated a year ago, or even at the beginning of this year, may not resonate as we head into 2026. And so invest time into working with the sales team, understanding the customer, and developing, and perhaps refreshing some of your foundational messaging. From there, there's some other areas where, thinking about technology, thinking about a no friction CRM that's easy for a small team to actually use. And there's so many CRM solutions, so many software solutions that are out there. And in some cases it's scary because yeah, they do require a full-time person just to manage the system. But then again, what are your needs, and where can we just make some improvements, and make it easy for everyone, both marketing, sales, management, to utilize. From there, I mean, I think the other thing, we just talked about AI automation. Just think about the things that you can automate, whether it is using AI or not, but automate the things that you can. Tools that John mentioned about handling follow-ups, tracking activity, even basic email marketing, things that can free the sales team to focus on live conversations, moving people through the pipeline, and not tie them down to these tasks that aren't revenue generating. And that's ultimately where we want the sales team focused, is revenue generating activities. So when I talk about marketing, I'm talking about marketing activities, marketing strategies and tactics that can improve the efficiency and effectiveness
So
of
I
the
think
sales team.
starting at that basic is right.
Absolutely.
You need to do that. We do have a question. I'm going to sneak it in here. From Tina. She says she uses lots of programs and platforms, CRM, production, communications platforms, and it's getting these platforms to work together that is so challenging. So she asks, what's the best way to tackle this? So Yusuf?
Yeah. So Tina, I would say, yeah, definitely. I would say take a step back and focus on what are the business goals. What are we trying to achieve here? Right. We want to be able to take this piece of information from here to there to there. And we take it step by step within that system. Like we have 4 different systems that are in there and we want them to talk to each other. Is even the use of that specific system is the best for me? If it is, then let's see, does it talk to the other things? Is there a more engulfing system? Because at its core, there's always the buy versus build. If we're going to go the buy side, what is the best solution for me? And one of the things that people often forget is that good solution integratable? Does it integrate with other softwares or no? Is there an easy zap for it? Is there an easy connection that can be made? If not, do they have an API that we can get a developer in to be able to make sure there is a workflow that can happen between all those softwares? If there is, let's implement it. If there's not, then we take a step back again. Is this the best solution for us? Right? If not, then we take a step back further. Should we build? Look at the investment that will be made, the time of effort that we will save, the money we will save, and from there, being able to make that decision. So definitely assessing each platform individualistic first, reviewing if it's the good for us, does it connect with other things, does it have an API? If not, we take the other route. Let's explore. Is it going to really add that much value into my business and will add an asset into my business? Then we choose the right direction. Because when we're talking about off-shelf solutions, we're only tied by what they can provide us. If they don't have an API, our hands are tied. If they don't have a Zap, our hands are tied. We can't do anything about it. So reviewing or cross-referencing those technology choices that we have with our business goals is the most important things. What's worth it for us and what's not worth it for us. I hope that answered your questions.
John, I want to go back to you on investing. What do you think is the most important 2026 investment that should be made?
And I'm going to tell you, it's not a number, it's time. That's I think you need to invest the time in strategy, okay? And making sure you have alignment amongst all your partners. What we talked about here at the beginning, companies just don't spend enough time doing this. They don't sit down and say, why are we doing what we're doing? Is it the best thing we should be doing? I mean, on the sales side, it's again, what clients are we, approaching? Who are we trying to sell to? Make sure we have alignment on that. We understand that we're aligned with marketing and our messaging, and then, the systems that are going to take us through. So if I had, one piece of advice to give to somebody, take the time towards the end of this year. Meetings are a pain in the butt. I get it. But if you use a good meeting process, you can get a lot accomplished where you set goals for the next quarter, for the next year, and you put to-dos against them. But get that strategy set, make sure everybody's aligned on that strategy. Everybody knows what they have to do to achieve it. Then you can set your dashboards and judge everybody on that. So invest the time rather than the dollars at the beginning.
So I want to ask each of you if you could give one piece of advice to founders or leaders planning for 2026. What would it be? So, John, let's start with you.
Okay.
Piece of advice.
Yeah, advice planning for 2026. Really understand who your best clients are and talk to them. Okay. Quite often, we think our messaging is right because we've discussed it. That means nothing. It's whether does it resonate with the client, but even spend the money again. It's interesting. I think some of the best marketing I've seen done starts with customer research. Talk to your clients, understand what they want. Ask them, you've been a loyal customer. Thank you. What are we doing that keeps you coming back? Okay. And what could we do better, to earn more of your business type of thing. So that's my advice is talk to your customers. We don't do it enough, whether it's through your salespeople and you have them asking questions and bringing data back, or you utilize a marketing firm or a research firm to do that, outbound research on your own. Go find out what real is and stop guessing.
I love that.
Okay.
Guessing really doesn't bring us there. Jason, one piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree in terms of, get crystal clear on your ideal customer and then commit to simple, repeatable marketing plays that can consistently put quality leads in front of the sales team. Don't wait for perfect. Start small, measure, optimize, build on what works. For me, sustainable growth isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right few things well, day in and day out, week in and week out. And that's what I would say is you don't have to tackle marketing, all of marketing. You just need to, find the right things that work for your business.
I think you hit on a real key thing. Everybody's in how many blogs and posts and all this stuff that we're doing. The bottom line is the salespeople need sales leads, and getting sales leads to the people that are trying to get you more business is real important. Yusuf.
Honestly, I think alignment on what do we need? What are we wasting our time on? What are we spending a lot of money on that we should not be doing? That conversation or that hard conversation with yourself or with the business, with the team members around what are we doing right, what are we doing wrong, and how can we really fix that and be more efficient around it That's the most important thing. And honestly, Jackie, we did develop a tool just for that question. We want to start using, we want to start automating, we want to start using AI, but we really don't know where to start. So we designed that tool. I'll put the link for it in the chat for everyone to have it. Basically, you go in, you answer a few questions about the business, and from it, a report gets generated on what are the opportunities that you have within the next period. That's an amazing tool that we developed for us, and I think that would be my step one into 2026.
So we have a question here. You've got the ecosystem in place, and if you want sales to increase, you have to quote more efficiently. What technology approach would you suggest to offload some of the processes in the workflow? Who wants to tackle that?
Well, that's, I believe you have to quote more efficiently. You have to understand what your hit rates are and make sure you're quoting at an optimum level, and that I've worked with clients that just quote to quote. Well, it came in, so I'm quoting it. Well, what's our likelihood of winning it? Are we good at it? All that kind of stuff. So you have to have, on my side, you have to have the strategy first to understand what you should quote and what you should respectfully decline. We don't think this is valuable, that we could fit your needs. Thank you very much. We'll decline to bid, type of thing. So we have to understand where we're spending our time in quoting. Once you have that volume of work, I'll turn it over to Yusuf to talk about what do you do to stay, what technology approach suggests to offload the process.
I'll jump
And
in really
honestly,
before Yusuf. I'm
go
gonna
for it.
tee up Yusuf, because we've worked together to develop some tools for clients, some quoting tools that help collect the necessary information from the prospect as part of the kind of lead generation or quoting process. And so there's some automation and maybe even a little bit of AI behind that to make the sales team more efficient in that quoting process. And he can talk more about that in a second. But the other thing I would say from a marketing perspective is, in order to close more business, there are definitely some things within the workflows that can be done based on CRM and automation. So again, as the sales team is quoting a job, if that lead or prospect happens to get hit with a marketing message of, hey, here's a case study or a success story or a testimonial, right? So those are some things that, again, from a marketing and sales perspective, that we can align on in terms of how do we not only quote more efficiently, but then close more efficiently, and use marketing and sales enablement tools to move those prospects through the pipeline to the point of close faster, more efficiently.
I love case studies and testimonials for
Absolutely.
for specific, if you can identify and have kind of a whole group of them that you can pick from to help close. I think that's fantastic.
I love that. And I want to close. I want to close in a little bit just to say that, as John and Jason said, funnily enough, we and Jason and John worked together on some projects where we developed fully custom quoting tools for clients. And as they said, as they develop the strategy, what exactly are we quoting? How are we quoting it? What are the actions after those quotes? What are the messaging that should happen? What's lists on the CRM it should talk to? Once you go in there and you kind of create those, with the strategy and requirements, you start to assess, are there tools out there that do it? Most probably, in my experience with quoting, not a lot of good off-shelf solutions do it with quoting. And even if there's a quoting software in the CRM, usually it's not that good. So basically, we come in and we help to execute that vision, where what are we quoting, how are we quoting it, web-based, where should they have access to, what devices that they can use, how they interact with it. Is it an internal tool for salespeople or an external tool for leads generation? So after those metrics are set, the ability to come in and develop your own tool that really works is so easy, and it's life changing for a lot of businesses.
Okay, I am going to close out here. So I will tell you that we will be sending you this information, and we will are including all of our contact information. And thank you so much for coming, and have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.